Most traders don't realize this. But more than 78% of retail trades are triggered by impulse before analysis even begins. A tiny emotional spark, a micro twitch inside the nervous system, a fragile feeling of urgency that hits milliseconds before logic wakes up. And that invisible reaction decides more entries than any strategy ever created. The uncomfortable truth is simple. The market rewards pattern minds and punishes impulse minds. AI survives because it reads the chart without feeling anything. Humans lose because they feel everything before reading the chart. Once you see that mechanism, really see it, you cannot go back. Subscribe to Mind for Trade if you're ready to think differently. Subscribe if you're ready to step out of your old trading identity. His name was Zayden, and he had been trading long enough to know better. Yet every loss felt strangely familiar, as if the outcome had been decided long before he clicked buy or sell. He woke up early that Monday, brewed his coffee, and sat in front of the charts with a clean plan. He promised himself one thing. Today he wouldn't rush. Today he would wait for his pattern. But the market has a way of testing the exact weakness you're trying to fix. Zayden stared at GBP/JPY, forming a slow, controlled structure, the kind that looks like it's breathing, inhaling, exhaling, waiting for one decisive move. He loved this pair. It moved like it had a heartbeat. And that was the problem. His heartbeat reacted with it. At first, everything felt calm. He analyzed the higher time frame. He marked the liquidity zone. He identified the level he wanted. It was all clean. It was all planned. Then something small happened. Something subtle. A candle pushed upward. Not enough to confirm anything, but enough to trigger a feeling inside his chest. A tiny surge. A flicker of heat. A whisper of possibility. He felt his breath shorten. Just slightly, but enough for his fingers to react before his brain did. His cursor slid toward the buy button almost automatically. He didn't hear logic anymore. He didn't feel the plan. There was only one voice inside him saying, "If you don't enter now, you'll miss it." He clicked buy, and the sound of the execution filled the room like a truth he didn't want to face. Immediately, the market did what the market always does to traders who act early. It dipped. Not violently, not aggressively, just enough to tighten his stomach. Zayden leaned closer to the screen, eyebrows tensed, fingers hovering near the close button. His mind flooded with calculations that weren't part of his plan. Should I exit now? Should I hold? Should I cut it before it gets worse? When the candle pushed slightly lower, the panic inside him became louder than any signal on the chart. He closed the trade with a small loss, and then watched in quiet helplessness as the price reversed perfectly into his original direction, following the exact structure he had planned to trade. It hit his intended entry level, respected his intended stop, and moved directly to his intended target. Without him, the pain wasn't the loss. The pain was the betrayal of knowing that he abandoned his own plan before the market even had a chance to test it. Zayden pushed his chair back and stared at the ceiling. He felt the same familiar frustration, the same internal heat, the same pressure deep behind his ribcage that told him something inside him was trading faster than him and costing him everything. He tried to distract himself. He tried to reset. He tried to breathe. But the second chart appeared tempting. NAS 100 this time. Fast, chaotic, beautiful. It moved like a storm disguised as a market. And storms wake something inside traders, something emotional, he told himself. I won't touch it. Not after the last mistake. 5 minutes passed. He stayed disciplined. He didn't enter. Then a sudden impulse candle appeared, a sharp spike that looked like the beginning of something big. His pulse reacted instantly. That same internal rush he hated, yet obeyed. Another whisper inside his mind. This is it. Don't let it run without you. The worst part wasn't the candle. The worst part wasn't the move. The worst part was the feeling that rose inside his chest. The feeling that made waiting feel like losing. He clicked buy again. The market snapped downward like it was punishing him personally. One single violent wick erased his confidence in seconds. His palms grew warm. His jaw tightened. He froze. He didn't want to close. He didn't want to accept another emotional mistake. He didn't want to admit he traded from impulse again. His stop-loss hit. Fast, cold, mechanical. The loss wasn't huge, but something inside him cracked quietly. He felt like he wasn't battling the market. He was battling himself. He walked away from the screen, pacing slowly around the room, replaying the moment before each mistake. The moment where his body reacted before he made a conscious choice. He remembered how his breath changed, how his shoulders lifted, how his heartbeat sped up, how he moved before thinking. It felt like someone else was trading inside him. Someone emotional, someone impatient, someone too fast. And that feeling haunted him more than the red numbers on his screen. That night, Zayden opened his charts again, not to trade, but to observe. He replayed his trades. He watched the same setups without pressure. And something strange happened. Without real money on the line, he saw patterns as if the chart had slowed down. He noticed structures he had missed earlier. He saw behavior, not noise. He recognized rhythm, not randomness. He whispered to himself, "Why do I see everything clearly when I'm not trading live, but blind when I am?" He didn't know it yet, but he had just discovered the real problem. His mind had two versions. The impulse version, fast, reactive, emotional. And the pattern version, calm, analytical, precise. The battle wasn't strategy versus market. The battle was impulse mind versus pattern mind. His biology wanted speed. His plan wanted patience. His emotions wanted excitement. His edge wanted clarity. And he felt that conflict everywhere inside him. In his breath, in his pulse, in his decisions, in the way he clicked without thinking, and hesitated when he should have acted. That night, Zayden wrote one sentence in his journal. "I lose trades before I place them." Because deep down, he knew the truth. The market wasn't destroying him. His reactions were. He wasn't late because of the chart. He was late because fear delayed him. He wasn't early because of opportunity. He was early because urgency tricked him. He wasn't wrong because he didn't understand analysis. He was wrong because he didn't understand himself. Every trader lives in that war, between the mind that reacts and the mind that sees. The impulse mind fires first. The pattern mind arrives too late. And in that tiny gap, that fraction of a second, entire accounts are lost. Zayden felt it deeply. You feel it too. That internal war, that inner pull, that old restless version of you that wants to act now, to feel something, to chase movement, to be part of the action. Somewhere inside, you know the truth. You can't trade like AI until you learn to think like calm. And that truth sits quietly in your chest, waiting for the moment you finally face it. Like this video if you're ready to break that cycle. Zayden returned to his desk the next morning, breathing slower than usual. The charts were the same, the market was the same. But he wasn't. Something inside him felt unfinished, unanswered, unresolved. He stared at the chart, waiting, watching, wondering. And in that silence, he realized something was about to change, not in the market, but in him. Zayden sat back, his chest still tight from yesterday's trades. The impulse mind had struck again, and yet something inside him had shifted. There was awareness now, a quiet recognition that he had been missing the real battle. The market didn't punish him. His reactions did. He stared at the charts. Candles moved as they always do, indifferent, constant, repeating their patterns with perfect neutrality. And then he realized something. The market doesn't rush. It waits. It repeats. It tests. It only rewards clarity, not urgency. Clarity, that was the word. He imagined a version of himself that could observe patterns without being pulled by instinct. The version that doesn't act first and regret later. The version that waits, watches, and only strikes when intention surpasses impulse. That version felt foreign at first, but he knew it could exist. Zayden began the slow, deliberate process of training his mind, not by learning new strategies, not by adding more indicators, but by rewiring how he experienced the market. The first step was observation without action. Every heartbeat, every micro-twitch, every rise in tension, every sudden urge to click, buy, or sell. He labeled them silently. Impulse, urge, tension. And then he waited. He allowed the candle to form, to breathe, to reveal its story. He watched without interference, just observation. Within days, he noticed a shift. The impulses were still there, but they no longer hijacked him. The internal rush that used to force early entries now became a signal. Pause, check, decide consciously. The gap between impulse and action grew, and with it came clarity. He introduced the second micro step, deliberate pause before every click. 10 seconds, not more, not less. Enough to feel the body, feel the urge, and let the nervous system settle. Breath in, breath out, check alignment, and only then act. The first few attempts were frustrating. The old mind resisted. Fingers hovered above the mouse, trembling slightly. The heart wanted to act before logic had a chance. But each time he paused, just 10 seconds, the quality of his decision improved. The entries matched the pattern, the stops aligned logically, and the trades no longer felt chaotic. Step 3 was instant reflection. After each trade or near trade, Zayden asked himself a simple question. Was this decision from the impulse mind or the pattern mind? One line, 10 seconds, done. He didn't judge, he observed. Every micro decision became data. Every reaction became insight. And with each reflection, the old patterns began to weaken. The new pattern mind strengthened. Something remarkable happened. Trades he would have previously exited prematurely now held. Trades he would have entered impulsively out of fear of missing out were skipped when structure wasn't confirmed. His mind began to operate like a finely tuned machine. Not rigid, not robotic, but human intelligence fused with patience, deliberate observation, and rhythm. Emotion still existed. That's the key. He didn't remove it. He acknowledged it. He recognized it. And then he let it pass. The impulse mind still whispered, but it no longer dictated his actions. He started noticing patterns in his own biology that mirrored patterns in the market. The faster his pulse, the stronger the impulse to act early. The more relaxed his breathing, the clearer the market became. He began to read himself as carefully as he read the charts. The pattern mind and the market were no longer separate. They were aligned. The emotional shift was profound. Zayden no longer chased every spike. He no longer panicked during pullbacks. He began to feel rhythm. Each candle became a note, each structure a melody. Impulse existed, but it was a guide, not a master. He had transformed, stable, calm, focused, deliberate, disciplined, precise, emotionally neutral. Every trade was now deliberate. Every hesitation became a conscious pause. Every decision followed structure, not urgency. His losses didn't disappear, but they became manageable. His wins became intentional. And the internal war that had plagued him for years began to settle into harmony. Zayden realized that the pattern mind isn't a skill you learn in a day. It's a rhythm you train over weeks, months, and years. The impulse mind isn't an enemy. It's a signal, a biological alert that requires awareness, acknowledgement, and disciplined response. He could feel it in every fiber of his body. The calm that comes when action is aligned with thought, not hijacked by emotion. The confidence that comes from knowing exactly why you trade and why you wait. The clarity that comes from merging observation, structure, and human intuition. The transformation was cinematic, quiet, invisible at first, but unstoppable. Zayden no longer reacted to the market. He observed, aligned, and executed. He could sit through volatility without trembling. He could skip setups without guilt. He could enter trades with patience and precision. Every heartbeat that once forced impulsive trades now became a guide to stay disciplined. Every micro-twitch, every urge, every spike of emotion became data, a signpost to refine the pattern mind further. He didn't need to add more indicators. He didn't need tips or tricks. He didn't need external validation. The power was in his own nervous system, retrained, calibrated, and aligned with the market's rhythm. Zayden's trades became intentional experiments. His decisions were deliberate. His patience became a weapon. His clarity became an advantage. And in this space, he discovered freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from impulsivity. Freedom from the internal war that had haunted him for years. He leaned back, relaxed, watching the markets move. Nothing could pull him out of alignment. He didn't react. He observed. He waited. He executed only when the pattern and his mind were in perfect harmony. This is not luck. This is deliberate evolution. And in that moment, Zayden realized the truth every trader can learn. The market doesn't punish emotion. It only exposes it. The pattern mind doesn't remove impulse. It teaches the trader to use it wisely, to delay it, to channel it, and ultimately, to master it. His transformation wasn't instant. It was cumulative, invisible to anyone else, but unstoppable. The impulse mind remained, but it no longer controlled him. The pattern mind had emerged, calm, deliberate, precise, and unshakable. And Zayden finally understood the reward of this transformation. Trades aligned with structure, decisions aligned with clarity, and a mind free from the tyranny of untrained impulse. He closed his laptop for the night, not because the market ended, but because he had ended the old version of himself. He could feel it quietly inside. The peace, the control, the readiness. The market was alive. The charts moved, and Zayden sat still, calm, focused, unshaken, watching, waiting, acting only when alignment was perfect. If you're ready to evolve your trading mind, subscribe Mind for Trade.